to meeting. Our first order is our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Vice Chair, could you read our mission statement?
The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any additions? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Moving on to our presentation, Technology Department. One of the most valuable groups this year.
Right.
Welcome.
I'm Amanda Granager. I am the assistant principal at Parkside Elementary. I'm also the mentor induction coordinator. And this summer, Jeremy pulled me into his office and asked if I would also take on technology. And having done that before, I happily accepted. I also was reassured because we have such a great team here at Marshall Public Schools. So it's been fun getting back to working with them, and we have a lot to share with you tonight. I'm not telling anyone anything that they don't already know when I say it's been a difficult year this year. Our teachers have had to shift from in-person to distance learning, back to hybrid to distance learning, back to hybrid to now face-to-face.
Except for today.
What?
Except for today.
Right, except for today. So I just cannot say enough about how hard our teachers have worked to make this successful for our students. I know it's been hard on families to have their kids at home and have to do work and take care of their kids. So again, a shout out to our parents and families also for all the work that they've had to do this year. So tonight, though, what we really want to focus on are three things. We want to share with you, Todd and Karen are going to come up in a little bit and talk about just distance learning and some of the statistics that go along with what that looked like in the last year. We're going to talk about our annual technology survey results, which is always exciting and fun, and I know you guys just are on pins and needles waiting to hear about that. But we also want to have two of our teachers from Parkside Elementary come up and talk about what it was like for them to teach in this environment, in the distance learning, but also in the hybrid. So these two ladies are learn-at-home teachers this year, and I have Esther Karen and Teresa Leek.
Hello. Thank you so much for having us. Teresa and I are we're both second grade teachers, and we are two of the classroom teachers that were asked to teach in two different models. So we started the school year and we had half of our class in Learn at Home and the other half of our class was at school, which was a challenge that we took on together. And I would say that through trial and error, we have made it work in a way that we feel has been pretty successful. Like I stated, we had about half of our class was tuning in at home, and the other half was at school. So we quickly discussed and decided on ways that would make it most effective for us and for each other. We came up with the idea that we would be co-teachers of the Learn at Home kids. We had roughly, depending on how they went in and out of the program, around 20 students at a time learn at home. And so we developed a schedule that worked well for both of us. So we would schedule our lessons in a way where if I taught the reading online and to my classroom Monday morning, she taught the math lesson to the at-home kids and her classroom in the afternoon. We did this in a way so that we were only online once a day, and then that way we would be able to, we would have less stress as a teacher, but we would be more responsive to the needs of the kids in the classroom as well as at home. This took a fair amount of coordination on the part of both of us because we needed to do our planning together because we shared responsibility for the students that were at home. I would say that it fell into a very nice routine. We offered a whole group lesson to all the kids. We offered small group lessons to kids based on their reading level, and then we were able to offer one-on-one meetings with students that needed additional support. In order to do this, we used a couple of different technology options that were available to us. We started realizing that we were able to deliver some lessons effectively through videotape lessons. We started with Flipgrid with the help of with Karen, and then we went to Screencast-O-Matic, which let us, we were able to videotape our lessons and then push them out to the kids. We only did this with about half of our lessons, and we used a platform this district provided us called Seesaw. Seesaw was very valuable to teachers in elementary schools. We had a shared account, and the students had the app on their iPad, and then the parents also had the parent app. So work that was sent in through Seesaw, the parents could also see. We were able to provide feedback on their work, but the parents were also able to provide feedback and see how their students were doing. Work on Seesaw looked different depending on what was being taught. So some of the lessons were available out there. We would create activities for students to do based on the lesson that they had watched or had been online with us. They could take a picture of their work. They were able to videotape themselves doing the work. Or we would push out activities to them. I'll show you. If you look on the screen, I don't know if you can see this very well, but on the left-hand side, that would show what their screen looks like on Seesaw. So this is a student's work. The middle option, so this is a lesson we just did. We're currently working on nonfiction features of text, which would be like table of contents, diagrams, captions. There are many of them. But with Seesaw, we were able to find those features in their nonfiction books, take a picture of it, they labeled it, and then they could use the recording option to tell us how they used it, and then they could submit it to us. Teachers could see it, and parents could see their work also. I like to think that that would generate a conversation at home. They could talk about work that they're doing, and they could look at it. And we have received feedback from parents that they enjoy Seesaw very much. And here we are.
So I'm going to talk about the Teams portion of what we used. So prior to this year, so when we went into lockdown last year, Teams was not available to Parkside students. It just wasn't activated. So it was activated late April, early May last year. So the kids got just a little bit of a taste of it before they came into second grade this year. So I really would like to give a big shout out to Karen and Todd and their team, because a lot of what I'm going to talk about was problem solved with them, and they helped us a great deal at the beginning of the year. This year they were able to get the calendar for the second grade students, for all of the Parkside students actually, activated so that students I could set up a calendar meeting for the kids. It would go on their calendar, the kids could get it on their iPad, and then they could join the Teams meeting on their own. So last spring when we tried it out, I had to call each one individually. So that was a change that was really helpful and honestly necessary to cut out a lot of tedious work for us coming into this fall. So I set up a calendar announcement, or we did. The kids could come in, and if they didn't come in for some reason, I could make their iPad jingle by just requesting to join, which was also new this year for us, another great addition. And that was part of that one-touch call. So the one-touch call was just that request to join button that we used to get kids to come in. So as second graders, it was really new for them to be on Teams. I'm sharing my screen as a teacher, and they're trying to control their microphone on and off, their camera on and off, let alone absorb what is being taught. So there were a lot of things that they needed to learn. I mean, this was their first year using it. So the hard mute button was a nice addition when that rolled out for teachers. I think it was late September. There were a couple of moms who came on early in the school year, only once or twice, but said, Mrs. Leak, someone isn't muted, we can't hear you. So then I would have to go individually one by one and mute them. So that was a nice addition. Something else that came out that really helped us was through Teams, we could record the lessons that we taught. So now when we started a lesson, we could hit the record button, we could teach our lesson, and if for some reason a student wasn't able to come onto Teams, we could record it and put a link onto Seesaw. And now the kids have figured out too, they can get to that video through the chat feature as well, which has been really nice. Karen and Amanda were actually in observing me late September, maybe this fall, and noticed that when I was teaching, I had my in-class students, I had my online students, but I couldn't see my online students. All I could see was my computer screen, what was on the smartboard, and then my in-school kids. And I remember her saying something like, well, wouldn't it be nice if you had a second monitor so you could see your online students? And I said, yes, that would be fantastic. So it was at that point in the year we got a second screen. So when I said, put your thumbs up if you think 8 is the right answer, we could see that they were putting up their thumbs. And it just made it a little bit more interactive that we could see them while we were able to see the kids in our class. Our lesson delivery changed. So in the past, or pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, we would be able to pull kids up to the carpet and we'd read a book and everybody would be able to see really well. Well, when we came in this fall, everybody was spaced out 6 feet apart, so we had kids in the back of the room, we had kids online, so reading that same book just wasn't having the impact that we wanted. So we were able to take a program called Reading A to Z, download a book into a smart dock, and then read it from there, which was really nice for the kids online to be able to see what we were talking about. The kids in school, we were able to circle things, highlight as we needed. So that was a really nice thing too. Same for math. When I taught a math lesson or when we taught math lessons, it's nice to be able to put those math manipulatives up on the smartboard and then we could manipulate them to see, so the kids could see what we were talking about as the lesson went along. So yeah, I think we've got a couple pictures here. Here's a picture of what the kids look like on the screen, I guess. There's Mrs. Karen. You can see the kids on the screen that are online kids and then the kids in the classroom. And then this is a mixed group that I have. If you can see the iPad screen, that's one student I have from Learn at Home. And then I've got the kids up at the table that are in school. So that was also another nice addition. We had the iPad holder that clamped on the side of the table so we could have the kids kind of more interactive, more closely interacting with kids, with their in-school peers. So, thank you.
Were the online students at home all the time? Yes. Parents chose that.
And then some of them have come back into the classroom, made that transition back into the classroom.
At the end of a quarter or something, right? I mean, they didn't just come in whenever they wanted to come in, right?
Correct, they can make the change before the break.
I think what you've done here is exemplary. We should
Thank you.
broadcast it across the state. It is exemplary what you've done here. Thank you very much.
I agree. I've talked to other districts, especially up in the cities, and they've had nightmares. And through our technology department, hats off to you. I'll help you negotiate more money next year. But the combination of the dedication of our teachers and that just say, this is what we got to do and find out ways to do it. Our technology department working hands in hands, making sure things work. Just outstanding. I can't say enough how outstanding that was. So thank you.
We were very grateful that we were able to do it together at the beginning of the year to bounce ideas off and to troubleshoot, and it was very helpful.
Do you have a common prep time when you can get together and plan?
Yes. Yeah.
Good. And thanks for your work in your department, Todd.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, you two.
Thank you, guys.
Now for the fun stuff, huh?
Yep. So as Murphy's Law would have it, technology update, we had some Microsoft challenges this afternoon, so I think we're improvising here and make it do, but I'm hearing that it was more of a worldwide problem, so thankful for it being not just a Marshall problem. So we're going to take a look at our annual technology survey results briefly here. So to summarize our distance learning environment, we had about 3,500 students and staff devices that we supported. As you saw in the previous slides, there was some instances where they had 2 or 3, an iPad with the students, a teacher's device, so about 3,500 devices that we supported throughout this. We also worked to provide internet service to underserved students through hotspots or Khajiit devices that we sent home with students that needed them. I know that is a big challenge right now throughout the country. I know that's a big initiative in the technology space. I heard of other districts that sent home hundreds of devices. So we were I think we had 27 Marshall devices and 15 in a partnership with Southwest West Central that were sent out. So another change that we made was we established a cloud-based technology hotline, a number that was going to be our tech support number. And with that cloud-based solution, I was able to log in and assign that number to ring out to a bunch of different places. So we assign that to ring out to our media center assistants, their Google Voice numbers or their cell phone numbers to answer those calls. So was able to quickly mobilize that and get that out to different people that could help. When they're in school, that's the place that they go for assistance, is the media center. So it made sense for us to kind of direct those calls out to those folks again. We also established a central location for device drop-off and pickup at the middle school here. We set up a table in the middle school vestibule that was kind of our central spot for people to bring stuff. That was minimizing the contact of others and just kind of having one spot to look for that, and that worked well for us. During distance learning, we had that operated, that helpline operated from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the total number of calls in the spring of 2020 was 628, and total calls this year is about 465. So, Karen provided support for the use of digital tools in the virtual classroom, and we focused on using existing tools that we already had in place. We tried to minimize change. We had Microsoft Teams in place, we had Seesaw in place, we had all these tools in place, and we wanted to use those tools that we had already in place at a new level and tried to minimize change. There was a lot of districts at this time that went and implemented new solutions. That means training people, bringing them back up to speed. We tried to avoid that and use the tools that we had. In this example, I like to say less is more, and we just, kind of minimized what we were doing with that.
Okay, so to get to the fun stuff, the survey stuff that we're going to talk about, we're going to bring you an overview tonight of our annual technology survey that we do. Each year we ask our staff and our students in grades 3 through 12 to complete a technology survey. We use the feedback from this survey as a guide to plan our professional development in the future, as well as a guide for decision-making for purchase of technology tools and resources. In January of 2020, we used a new survey tool called Bright Bites. So you're going to hear a little bit more about that tonight. We surveyed our teachers and our students at that time. Our plan kind of got sidelined a little bit there. We were unable to bring you those benchmark results a year ago. We would have been here a year ago tonight. So we had those benchmark plans in place, and with the landscape of our learning environment changing so significantly, we decided to survey our staff again in October of 2020. Our plan was then to survey our students for this year between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and that just happened to be the time that we went into a distance learning environment. So we delayed surveying our students until February of this year. So the results from January of 2020, along with the results from our teachers in October of 2020 and our students just this past February, has given us some good comparison data between our standard mode of teaching and our digital learning and our hybrid environments. So Todd's going to share a little bit more detail with you about the Bright Bites survey itself, and then we'll share some details with you.
So the survey tool we're using, Bright Bites, uses the CASE framework for scoring. The CASE framework stands for Classroom, Access, Skills, and Environment. In the classroom, it's the ways in which teachers and students are using technologies to support learning. Under Access, it's the availability of devices and digital tools such as the internet in school and at home. Under Skills, it's teachers and students' confidence in and frequency of exercising foundational online and multimedia skills. And the environment is the degree to which the organization's policies and practices promote and support technology use in the classroom. Example, through tech support and professional development. So all four of those domains come together to provide educators with data on how their technology implementation is going and provide insight into next steps educators can take to foster more digital innovation in 21st century learning. The legend tool that you see at the bottom here is called the CASE Score Legend, where they break it into 5 different scoring groups, either beginning, emerging, proficient, advanced, or exemplary. I'm going to talk to this first slide just a little bit. At the bottom of this first slide is our January of 2020 score in orange. And then you'll see that we surveyed our staff in October of 2020 for the 1124 score. And then the top one was our students portion, which was in February of 2021. We weren't able to, as Karen mentioned, combine those 2 scores together, so we land somewhere in between there. It's really hard to know exactly where, but with that too, we at the top, those 2 scores are all of the districts in Minnesota that use this tool, and then all technology and learning, which is the number of people that use this tool around the country. So kind of gives us a comparison there.
So we're going to take a look here at the first quadrant of that CASE framework, and that's called the classroom. The graph or the scoring legend, as Todd described, you're seeing here depicts the measurements that are included in that classroom quadrant. The measurements that we see in this category are the teacher and student use of the 4 C's, which is creativity, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking. We also measure in this category digital citizenship. How much time is spent per year on digital citizenship, and what is the knowledge in that subject area? We also see frequency of digital or online assessment use in this category, assistive technology use, as well as digital textbook use. So the next area we're going to talk about is access.
This is teacher and student access to devices and resources at school. Teacher and student access to devices and Wi-Fi at home. And I really want to commend the school board on this because we were in a unique position. We were fully one-to-one. We had a lot of tools in place for this. I think we were very fortunate. If you look at our scoring, we are exemplary in this category. And I think that is a direct result of your commitment to technology over the last few years and puts us in a very unique position.
That's a result of your direction in terms of our needs, Todd.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. I got great people that help me.
The next quadrant we're going to talk about is the skills quadrant. Measurements that are included in the skills category are depicted in this scoring legend as well. And those measurements include teacher and student ease of connecting devices, creating documents, and viewing online content. Teacher and student online skills, collaboration skills, and curating digital content. And the final measure is teacher and student multimedia skills and working with digital content.
The next area is environment, where we talk about the 3 Ps, policies, procedures, and practices. This is access to device for at home, the quality and speed of tech support, and professional learning, like the time spent per year along with interest in additional PD, and our technology beliefs. So with 21st century learning is a great demand for high quality, speedy classroom support. It's a huge factor and needed to cultivate classrooms that support 21st century learning. I'm going to call out 2 guys that I work very closely with, Nick Esping and Kent Powell. They're really the guys that are in the classroom with these tech support calls. And if you look at our scores, we're either excellent or above average by most staff in this category. So I think that's to their commend.
So next I'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about professional development. We provide a variety of professional development opportunities in a variety of formats, and that has truly changed this past year when face-to-face professional development opportunities have really not been possible. So one of the things that's unique to us is we have had the opportunity to take advantage of a program through our Microsoft licensing purchasing that has provided us up to 20 hours per year the last 3 years to bring in a nationally certified Microsoft trainer at no additional cost to the district. So in August of 2019 was the first year we did that. We held a full week-long sessions. We had staff from the Microsoft store at the Mall of America. We had staff from the national trainer from Northwest Council of Computer Education, or NCCE, as well as myself. I provided opportunities at that time as well. We had 92 sessions that were attended by certified staff during August of 2019. In August of 2020, we had to shift gears a little bit and go virtual with our sessions. We had 3 full days offered by our national trainer again from NCCE. We had 135 certified sessions that were attended and 74 non-certified during those 3 days, so very well attended. And now Beth Ritter and I are in the process of working on scheduling some sessions coming up for April 1st, as well as some on-demand sessions, as long as a couple offerings that we'll be providing in June for staff. The instructional and classroom support continues throughout the course of the school year, and these opportunities that we've been able to provide in August kind of springboard all that for the school year. So then I'm there to help them get that implemented in the school, into their classroom, help them troubleshoot any issues, customize it to what their needs might be within the classrooms. It really has become more of an individualized approach in each of the classrooms because each teacher is unique, each classroom is unique. So I try my best to meet the needs of that classroom and that teacher. Our department also distributes a monthly technology newsletter. We started that last year, and we provide tips, tricks, how-tos, quick overviews of potential resources that teachers may find interesting for their classroom.
I've even used those in my workplace, some of the tips that you've given.
Oh, have you? Well, good, good. From our survey results, our Bright Bites survey, it also gives the teachers an opportunity to respond to us. How much time are they spending on staff development and where their interest areas lie in staff development? So you can see 71% of our teachers participate in 9 or more hours of school-sponsored technology. That's the stuff we provide them. 62% participate in up to 8 hours of non-school formal technology. So we don't necessarily provide it for them, but they seek that out. And 72% of teachers report up to 8 hours spent per year participating in non-school sponsored informal PD. And I would consider that like your social media, Twitter, just anywhere that you can blogs, those types of things where you can get those resources. So then our survey also gives them the opportunity to say, where's your interests lie? Or where do you feel you're weakest? Where do you want support? So 45% said classroom management. And that's been consistent. We hear that. With digital devices in the classroom management is one of the top things we hear about. 40% want multimedia skills, 39% online collaboration, and 32% were interested in online tools for critical thinking skills. 27% digital collaboration.
So this is our overall district case summary score. This tool provides us insights, which gives us practical solutions to address areas that are identified as needing improvement. There's a lot of further information that we can drill down into with this survey and identify those areas needing improvement. Our January 2020 overall score of 1091 places us at the top of the proficient range and above the average scores throughout the state of Minnesota in all of technology and learning. Our October 2020 overall score of 1153 and our January 2021 score of 1239 places us somewhere between advanced and exemplary. It's difficult for us to know exactly where we would land because of the two different reporting timeframes. We weren't able to survey them both during the same range, but either way, we see an improvement over January of 2020. In comparison, the Bright Bites survey tool is used by approximately 60 districts throughout the state of Minnesota, as well as 1,500 plus districts nationwide in 45 states. So I want to thank you, and are there any questions?
One of the comments that I've heard, and obviously in my field, we've gone to a lot of tech, is that we've basically crammed multi-years worth of tech into about 5 months. Is that true for the school district as well in terms of, I look at how we go from, on the survey, to proficient all the way to exemplary, but I think had maybe things not been crammed, that would have been a more gradual change, or has that been your experience, that it's kind of a trial by fire?
That has definitely been our experience. There's a lot of learning that's happened in the last year by all of us, and lots of adjustments that we've had to make. And again, I really commend the teachers, all the support staff. They've really had to redesign a lot of curriculum and a lot of material, and they've done a great job in Marshall.
Really, they have, and I would reiterate what everybody else has said. I think it's just been fascinating to see, with 3 kids in the district, just the vast difference from spring to now. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. In a good way, but yeah. unfortunate that we have to do it, but it's been phenomenal.
I think it's raised a lot of awareness to the value of the technology. The survey before would ask questions, and people weren't really thinking of how we would use this, and now it's very relevant.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that we've learned, we will continue to use even once we're back face to face. I've heard that said over and over by teachers.
So many things that we never dreamed would become such a vital part of our day-to-day lives, like Teams, live video conferencing. Nobody wanted their camera on a year ago, and now, it's down this afternoon. We didn't know what we were going to do without it. So this team has been great. Our teachers have worked really hard, and they've come with lots of questions, and, how do we make this work? And this team has really done a nice job of supporting that and making it work, so.
So with these kinds of scores in comparison with the 60 other districts in the state, Todd, which are all very exemplary, do you have colleagues calling you and saying, what are you doing? Can we come and see?
I haven't gotten that call yet, but
You
I'm pretty
will.
proud of our team. I think we did a nice job this year.
It's just exceptional, just exceptional.
But, and I would say that for other districts, and I think one of the legislative updates that came up, I mean, we are not only fortunate for the team, but the one-to-one tech, but even to the broadband. I sat on the legislative advocacy teams, and how many rural districts, especially northern Minnesota, don't even have broadband internet. I mean, I really listen to those things, and I have no idea how they're surviving
Feel so
compared to.
sorry for them up north,
Yeah.
St. Louis County,
And just hearing this presentation just shows how much of a value all of that has, it really, because we've just been able to do so many great things.
A year ago at this time, we sat down and we were talking about how are we going to get through this if we can't be face to face. And Todd says our kids have connection. Like, yeah, but we sat and we asked each other, do they really have connection? They say they do, but I remember talking about, is it just a cell phone connection, or do we really truly have connection?
Yep.
And you look at, we got through that with, was it 45 or so hotspots we had to issue? Our community is connected.
Yep.
We already had those devices in hands. And the other thing that Todd mentioned that was huge was when we said we're not throwing a bunch of new programs at people. Let's try and refine what we've got. That was a big part of what made it work for us, too.
Absolutely.
I think that helped minimize the learning curve going into that learning environment.
Well, and the neat thing is you are available to the classroom teacher, which is a comfort level for them. They can take the risk to say, I must be stupid, I don't know how to do this, will you help me?
I welcome their calls.
But thank you for doing that.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Moving on to our consent agenda, do we have a motion?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
So I would just like to congratulate and wish Mrs. Cheryl Hoff congratulations on her retirement after her, and thank her for her many years of service here in Marshall. So
Absolutely.
another great teacher we're going to miss.
Any other comments? We'll go ahead and vote. And it is approved. Moving on to financials, I'll make a motion to approve the financials. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's open for discussion.
Just a couple of things. Food service, you'll see, is a low number. We didn't get the March bill in before this board meeting, so we'll see probably a double number in April on that. Otherwise, if you look through, there's just a few things. Minnesota West, there's a bill for $21,191. That's for our CNA program. Part of that is actually for ABE, so not 100% of that goes to the district. We had a bill to Sanford Tracy Medical Center. That was for our biometric screening through our wellness program, which we get reimbursed for that. And then there's a invoice or a bill in there for $300,500 for Johnson Controls. That was for the ionization project, which is fully up and running at all of our buildings, except for Maytech, which we didn't put it in. So wanted to thank Rick Johnson and Warren for getting those all installed, and school board for approving that. We currently paid for that through our construction funds.
Very good. Any questions, board? Please vote. It is approved. Anything else to bring up on financials?
No, just kind of like each month, just pointing out the second page, we're close to what our budget projection was. We're about 1.37 off of that through February, so we'll keep a close eye on that.
Very good. Board forum, board members, anybody like to bring anything up? Moving on to our administrator's report.
All right. A few things this month to share. My report, just a couple things about what's going on in legislature right now. There has been a change in the Commissioner of Education. That'll be effective April 1st. Mary Catherine Ricker has resigned, and Heather Mueller will take over as commissioner starting April 1st. So look forward to working with her. Number of bills proposed right now. A big one that we're kind of watching is one that's going through looking at addressing the summer programming, includes declining enrollment aid, extended time programs, and a streamlined process for short call sublicense. It's one that could help us as we're planning for summer school this year, so hoping to get some movement on that one soon. Also, we had a lot of questions recently about the American Rescue Plan and some highlights in that I just wanted to share with the board. We don't know our local allocation as of yet with that bill that was recently passed at the federal level, but there's almost $126 billion available for K-12 education. That's really going to focus on learning loss activities, again, including summer school, after school, education technology, and pandemic response options, including health protocols and that sort of thing. So a lot of things that we're starting to think about how that's going to affect our budget for next year. That'd be nice resources to have available to us. Our early childhood report, Tiffany shares that registrations are coming in for next year. 3-year-olds, they've had 66 in already, and 4-year-olds are up to 96 for next year. So a lot of registrations coming in. That's going really well. She also talked about I Love to Read Month this year. That certainly looked different. I think in previous years, everyone around this table has been invited to come and read to classrooms, and this year we simply couldn't do that. So they did things like focused on showing kindness to others in early childhood. She also had a bunch of pictures that she shared of kids and different activities they did within the classrooms, like dress-up days and that sort of thing. She talks in her report about a May screening date, just with COVID and how that's affected our preschool screenings. They've added a date in May that typically we haven't had in the past, just to accommodate some additional spots for people to get in and get that done too. Parkside, Darcy shares that, again, about I Love to Read Month, how it looked different there. Instead of guest readers, Parkside showcased a different book each week across the building. They focused on different authors and had trivia questions for the kids at that level. A lot of dress-up days. I believe she had pictures in hers as well. Just made it a fun experience for kids, trying to encourage the love of reading for Parkside kids. She talks about Kindergarten Roundup. We're going to try something different this year. It's going to be a guided virtual tour of the school, welcoming the class of 2034 is where we're at. So that number just seems so far out there. But West Side, they had a fun experience a couple weeks ago or last week. Mrs. Johnson, our media specialist, had her husband come in, and they did some demonstrations for 4th grade kids on tapping maple trees to collect sap out in the yard of the school. It's going to do some data collection and things around that. At the end, after they've collected it, they plan on making some syrup with the kids, so a fun project they're doing. Peter also reported that we have placed the initial furniture order for Southview, so that's been a big project him and Amanda have been working on. But we've got that order in, and furniture will be hopefully here by the time the doors open for the new building, so that's exciting. Middle school, Brian Jones shared a few things, just filling in as the interim at that spot and helping get things kind of started there for him. High school, Brian also shared with 4 full weeks of full face-to-face instruction that we've had for grades 9 and 10. They're seeing an increase of greater than 5% of students that are passing all of their classes. So certainly some positive data on having kids back in person. Student registration is complete at the high school, so now they're starting to build the master schedule for next year based off of classes that students have registered for. He talks about Snow Week. Snow Week was postponed because of COVID, so they're having Spring Fling this year instead, a little bit of a change. Some similar activities, but not the dance and things that we've had before with a Snow Week. Prom is also scheduled for April 24th. They are working to reimagine that event this year, so we certainly want to have something for the kids. Last year we weren't able to have an event. It's going to look different than it has in the past, but they've got some good ideas working with some parents and the advisors and putting an event together for the students for April 24th. Maytech, she talked about the daycare. They said they had the 100th day of school recently, so she had some fun pictures of the kids celebrating that in her report. She also talks about summer school planning that's underway. Certainly with the learning loss we've experienced this year, that's something we're giving a lot of thought to, is how we get kids in for summer school at all different levels. At our elementary level, we're going to run a camp model this year that's been different than we've done in the past. The idea is having more engaging and creativity in some of the sessions, so a little different model, a little different hours, but the same idea, focus on trying to cover that learning gap. Amanda also shared a sneak peek at learning. They have a textile arts class they do with the kids at Maytech. They've been sewing, they're learning life skills like simple hand stitches and sewing on a button, so that's something that I probably should go take myself. Activities, Bruce shared winter season's wrapping up. We're kind of in that tournament season again. That time that we get that March storm is when that seems to happen. Hosted a lot of events. He shared that even with the condensed season, we've housed hosted a total of 47 home dates, and with the multiple events on each date, it's been over 100 events we've hosted. So a lot of things just adding up fast. A lot of things going on again. He really wanted to call attention. Thank you to everyone that's helping set up and tear down for all those events, and everyone that helps fill in all those different roles during the events. We can't make this happen without that help, and there's a lot of volunteer help to make that happen each event. High School League is also going through a biannual competitive section placement for all high school league sponsored activities that will cover the next 2 years. So we'll learn more in the next couple weeks which section we get placed in and what other schools are going to be in our sections for that. Special ed, Jackie shared about hiring the DHH position. I think we touched base on that maybe last week, our last board meeting, that we were going to do that. We have been able to fill that position. A candidate that had worked here previously, so we have some continuity of services, and we're excited to have that person in place back on our staff. SPED and admin teams has also been spending a lot of time planning for Southview, starting to get that SPED team put together, thinking how case management's going to work there. So it's been a lot of Jackie's time recently working on that. She also mentioned that we still have, with Learn at Home still being an option for all of our students, we have SPED students at almost all buildings, that it's still challenging for staff meeting those needs. So even though most of our kids are back full face-to-face, not all are, so that continues to be something they're working on, but staff say it's manageable with the processes they have in place. And finally, Beth shared in her report update on access testing for EL students that should be finishing up in the next week or so. Said they've had a new screener that's been introduced, a WIDA screener for helping identify younger students. We've struggled in the past identifying kindergarten students for EL services, and do they really qualify, or what's the situation, some of those. So this new screener looks like it should give us a better picture of proficiency level of students so we can place them in the correct classes and interventions. So something exciting for EL.
Very good. Questions, board?
I think we've still got Dion's.
Oh, yeah, I always forget about you, sir. I'm sorry.
I didn't transition that very well for you.
Mr. Chairman, just share a couple of things. Kind of piggyback off of how busy Todd and his group are. They're implementing a new phone system at all our locations. We were fortunate enough to have budgeted in our construction project an amount for phones over at Southview that we were actually able to replace all the phones district-wide. Was important to do because there was a law passed called Kerry's Law, which you're supposed to be able to dial 911 direct. Right now we have to dial 9 and then 911 in some of our locations, so we'll be up on that. And true to Todd, we were tentative to get Maytech's phones in March 19th, and I think they were actually working on them today, so appreciate all his work and his multiple duties he's got going on. Just wanted to point out, Aurora has been working on our performance reviews. In the past, we did paper performance reviews, and part of our frontline modules that we already own or pay for, she's able to implement those in, so we'll be able to do those electronically. So thank her for her work on that. I put a note in about food service. I know the numbers come up each time. Since we went face-to-face March 1st, our average for the last couple of weeks has been right around 1947. In previous years, when we were pre-COVID, we were right around 1800. So the free lunches obviously are working this year to get our numbers up. Breakfast, you can see as well, with free breakfast, we're at 1267, and in the past, we've been right around that 570. So that's good. And I just wanted to give an update on our construction project. We do have a BOC meeting on Wednesday, which will cover a lot of things, but I want to make sure everybody, all the board members are updated and are public on it. Exciting, Alex, along with Tricia, are putting together a virtual tour of the inside. There's a lot going on inside, a lot of changes. Peter's going to help out with that. So that'll be pretty fun for everybody to see, because right now it's nothing really going on outside except for a little of the brickwork. They have all the brick done around the area B, the commons area, and they're working on, if you've seen, the gymnasium brick, which will be kind of fun to see because it's a little different than the rest of the building. Inside, on the area B, they've got just finished up this week with the drywall on the first floor. Second floor, I believe they're looking about 2 or 3 weeks. They'll be done with that. First floor, they've started painting. They've done the priming, and they've actually started painting the rooms with the field paint and the accent paint, which is pretty cool to see. And then by the end of the week, we'll have our plumbing inspection. If that goes well, they'll start insulating and drywalling the bathrooms and start installing some of the ceramic tile. And then also next week, they'll start installing some of the acoustical grids on the first floor. Yeah, and then if you can go into that, Tricia, if you don't mind. I shared some pictures, but also, again, with some of the board members not being on BOC, if you go down, I think it's page 4, the next one, Tricia, down. Just wanted to show a couple of things. We were able to, we had budgeted in 2 scoreboards for the gym. That's what those will look like. And then if you go down a little more, just wanted to share with this group. So we have budgeted in, along with BOC's approval, to put 2 playgrounds in. And then the next page shows kind of what those playgrounds will look like with some of the equipment that we've put in. So you could just kind of look at that and wanted the public to be able to see some of that. It's going to be a nice location for the school district, but also our community to use. And then one last note, I actually got an email this afternoon. We sold our portable. We got $28,000 for it.
Really?
For you.
So we originally paid $49,000 for it, and if you remember, we did pay $15,000 to get it dismantled and moved. So we cleared about $12,400 on it. So
Perfect.
that's one we can check off.
Nice.
Nice job. Very good, thank you. Student school board members.
For middle school, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade spring conferences happened on March 11th and April 2016. And for Parkside, there will be conferences at the end of the month on March 30th. And that's all schools, the end of the quarter is March 26th, and the start of the new quarter is March 29th.
Very good, thank you. Discussion items, this is the first review of policies 530, 534, and 540. Any questions? And now we'll go to our discussions on return to learn update.
Just a couple things I wanted to highlight there. As we're back in school, a lot of safety protocols that we implemented, they're still in place, and just wanted to mention that just so everyone knows kind of what's going on with that. Some of the essential protocols that are still happening are the COVID testing program for staff who choose to participate. That's still happening bi-weekly. Face coverings are still required. Social distancing is still as much as possible. That's been a little bit of a change with that, with the full face-to-face, so it's not necessarily the full 6 feet, but still as much as we can do with social distancing. We've added additional clear barriers in many locations across the district, including like lunchrooms at the high school. Still encouraging the hand washing and have the traffic flow patterns in the hallways and common areas and such. Limited sharing of materials, and learn at home does still remain an option, so we still do have a number of families that are choosing that too. We did a survey last week. We had a lot of questions about the COVID vaccine and how many staff have had that. So our survey showed that just over 78% of our staff have received at least one, if not both, of their doses of the COVID vaccine. And the staff that haven't are staff that chose to not get it. So it's certainly not required, but a lot of our staff have had it and have completed that. I also just shared in the update, I'm not going to read through all of them tonight, but asked just each building kind of some information. What do they see now that everyone's back full face-to-face? And some comments I just want to point out. It says teachers have put forth incredible effort over the past year, working hard to help ensure the success of our students. It's been a big year for our staff, and they've really done a stellar job. K through 4, we've now been back full face-to-face for 7 weeks. Just some timelines on this, it just hit me as I read through it. So 7 weeks, K through 4. Early childhood and Maytech have been in person since December 7th. Those have been back for quite a while. 5th, 6th, and 9th, 10th have been back for 4 weeks now full face-to-face, and 7th, 8th, 11th, 12th have had 2 weeks full face-to-face. So really nice to have students back in the hallways. It sounds like it's supposed to sound in our buildings again. It feels right.
Question.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm ahead of it. Are we planning a traditional graduation ceremony this year?
As traditional as we can do, yeah. There's definitely going to be a face-to-face graduation. The guidelines from the state, there's still, we haven't seen the final expectations, but it looks like, I know the governor announced last week some loosening of restrictions that's going to help too, to be able to have enough people in the gym. We've talked about a number of things, so nothing finalized yet, but it's going to look like a regular graduation this year.
Good.
Yep.
Their timeline, I've had a couple of questions about return to play. For the spring sports, have they scheduled meetings in terms of if and how they're going to be reviewing that?
Scheduled that meeting today. Is it later this week? I forget, Dan, when we got that in, but yeah. Okay. So that certainly as things have loosened up, the other thing that's nice with our spring sports, a lot of that's outdoors, so I have even more freedom with what we can do there. But the way the numbers look with participants and such, we should be able to have a lot more freedom with that. Yeah. The only other thing I was going to say with the return to learn, just our numbers are maintaining very low. Our state numbers, our internal numbers are still very consistently low. We haven't seen a spike with everyone coming back in. So those protocols in place they're working for us. So.
How many kids do we have learn at home yet? Is
Trisha, do you know?
over 100 yet, or?
I'd say around 100 would be my guess. Yeah, I don't have a specific number, but I'd say right in that ballpark.
Very good. Moving on to our action items, authorization to offer additional year of probation status to Jennifer Vermont. Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Authorization to offer additional 1-year probationary status for Zachary Stellar. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion is approved. Thank you, board members. Meetings is adjourned.